Detroit Den 313. We are back. Stephen Will talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we get started, you know what to do. Bang that subscribe button and do not forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, what the heck are we talking about?
Well, it's almost draft day. We are like right down the road. Like it's happening. We're like we could have an hours countdown. No, it's no longer days. We're counting down hours almost.
Yes, sir.
So a couple weeks ago, mainly me was kind of on the boat of wanting to trade up in the draft. You know, if Brad Holmes sees that this team is one defensive piece away, I mentioned Jared Verse trading up to pick 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. Still something I'm all for. I'm not against that. I'm not backing down. But we're going to talk about the opposite end of that now. Maybe trading back, and this is where a boat I think you're going to be more in. Trading back in the draft, acquiring more picks, more depth, more starters potentially. We're gonna go through some different types of scenarios.
Yep. Yeah, I think that right off the top of my head, you've mentioned one team. I believe it was the Carolina Panthers that stuck out.
Chargers is the team I've been hammering about trading back.
I thought you talked about the Panthers as well, though. But yeah, you did mention the Chargers too. But the Panthers and then the Washington Commanders, man, are teams that have picks right up there in the top of that second round. So those are teams that I would be really interested in trading back with because both of them have 2 picks right there. 30, 40s. I don't know what they are off the top of my head.
33 and 39.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are 2 teams, man, that I would be really interested in because if you look at this draft, if you don't get one of those guys to me in the top 15, it starts to get really muddy water on who's the guys. And I think that a lot of these guys from, 16 to 35, maybe, you can kind of think, hey, I like this guy, or this guy is similar to that guy, or I think this guy might impact my team as much as that guy as well. So I definitely, while I don't want it to happen because we're going to be down there, and I'm really hoping to watch our draft pick walk across that stage and be able to celebrate and have some beers and enjoy it. I really don't want to go home after the first day of the draft and not have a Detroit Lion on our team. That would be rough. Now, if it worked out to our advantage, in the long run, I would get over it, but it would hurt in that moment. Steve, would you be okay with it?
The fan in me would be disappointed. Same boat as you. But looking at this from a business standpoint, I think it's probably the smart thing to do is to trade back. If Carolina really likes someone at 29, I'm trying to think of what they really need is probably something to help Bryce Young, either offensive line, which I don't think that where we're picking at 29 is very good for offensive line depth. If they're looking for a receiver, I think we might be the phone call for them. As a fan, I'm going to be disappointed if we don't make a pick on round 1. But when September, late August comes around and we got 3 picks in the top 60, 61, whatever, I think that's a better scenario for the Detroit Lions as a team. It might not be sexy, but if they want to trade up, I'm looking at the draft order right here. Carolina has picked 33 and 39. So if they wanted to move up, I'm going to say it's going to cost a second round pick. You're asking me in my hometown to not make a first round pick. It's going to cost you. So I think if Carolina wants to get involved and move up, I know it's just 4 spots, but if they want to go get that receiver who I think Kansas City might have their eyes on, if they want to jump them, I think Detroit's one of those teams they could be on the lookout for. And then we end up with pick 33, 39. Maybe it's a little far-fetched, but we're just kind of spitballing here. But if you're telling me that I don't make my first pick until 33, but then I get pick 39, then I have pick 61, then I have pick 73. Like those are 4 picks in the top 75. I'm okay with that. But like I said, if we trade up to pick 8, I'm okay there. But I think from a business professional standpoint, realizing that we could get 4 guys in the top 75, get me that starting corner or possibly a starting corner, get me a starting defensive end, get me a backup offensive lineman, get me a wide receiver. You can get all that and address every single one of those needs with 4 picks in the top 73.
Yeah, I kind of feel a little bit different though as far as the Carolina Panthers and their struggles. I feel like you mentioned it, but I feel like the guys are there. I feel like this is a really deep offensive lineman class. I feel like
I was real quick. I'm not to interrupt you, but I was more referring to tackles. If they're looking for a guard, yeah, we're kind of in that range.
Yeah. I even like in the later rounds the tackle from Yale, but I just think that there's some linemen out here, and if you want to get you might have a Jackson Powers Johnson or a Graham Barton there at 29. Um, there's just guys here. Guyton might be there. I've seen him mock draft to us at 29. So I think there will be some good quality offensive linemen there at 29, and Bryce, let's be honest, man, he didn't get a fair shot. He was running for his life, man. He was running for his life with some old receivers or subpar receivers. I know they had Jonathan Mingo, who I was pretty high on, but uh, not in a way like him. I was high on him as a role player, not as like being the guy. So I think I don't know, man. They got to shore that up if they want him to have a decent career because we've seen so many times where decent quarterbacks go to teams where they're running for their life and they don't have a lot of weapons and they struggle and they get their careers ruined. So I don't want to see that for him. I know he's not a Detroit Lion. I just love this game of football though. And I don't want to see him get his career ruined because he doesn't get a fair shake or a fair opportunity. Now at the end of the day, I want his career ruined when he plays against the Lions every time. But that's something totally different. But yeah, man. So with that thought process, I could see them or Washington. Same thing with Washington. They're going to have a fresh rookie quarterback. You want to shore that up. You either want to get him some extra weapons or, you might want to get him another offensive lineman before another one of these teams takes him off the board. Kansas City Chiefs on the back half of this thing, they're going to be looking to get a receiver. So if there's another receiver left, it might be a team trying to jump ahead of them to draft a receiver, man. So I think the possibilities for a little something shaking at pick 29 are definitely there.
Yeah, and real quick, while you're talking about Washington, I'm looking at the draft order. They have pick 36 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another thing, like, kind of the same boat. They have the number 2 pick. There's some issues going on with Jaden Daniels reportedly saying that he doesn't want to go to Washington. Okay, take Drake May, call it a day. See what I did there?
I did.
Clever, right? Yeah. So if they take him at 2, and now you're looking at the same type of scenario. I know they got Terry McLaurin there as their wide receiver. They had a pretty good defense. I know they sold off and traded a lot of their pieces. Chase Young, Sweat, they got rid of some guys. But if they're looking to give their quarterback either a weapon or some protection, again, Detroit Lions, 29. You want a receiver? You want a guard? You want a tackle? What are you guys looking for? You want to move back in the first round? You want to get that 5th-year option? All right, it's going to cost you pick 36
Yeah.
or pick 40.
Yeah, because you see these guys, right there around the Lions. You got the Xavier Liggett's, you got the Donnie Mitchells, man. You got the Keon Coleman's. So if you want to get your QB another solid weapon that might not be there at pick 36 or 40, come on up to 29 and let's do business.
Yeah, I think we're in a nice little spot here. I think there's a lot of options. I'm trying to look at this list and like use my not so much photographic memory of who has multiple picks in the second round, but I think we're in a good spot. I'm looking like we pick at 29. We're not used to picking there. It's a long ways. Guys, the draft starts at 8. I bet the Detroit Lions aren't making a pick till probably 12, 15. Like it's gonna be a long night if there's no moves. And then after 29, we sit back again till 61. Like it's gonna be there's a lot of people going in front of us, and then there's a lot of people going after us. So from 29 to 61 is a long ways. We're at the end of the first round, end of the second round, but then we kind of got with pick 73 right there. So we're kind of going from 61 to 73, not as big of a gap. But I think if we could acquire an earlier second round pick and maybe something in the 4th round for a team who wants to move up, I think that's probably the best bet to go. As much as I really want Jared Verse, Latu Latu, those guys aren't going to be there at 29. I really don't believe it. As much as I really, really hope they are, I just don't see that world being a possibility.
The only one that I think has a possibility is Latu, and that's just because of the injury concerns. If some of these GMs are like, listen, the dude can play, but I'm worried about that neck. I don't want to lose my job because I drafted him in the first round and the dude never plays. Like, that's the only way that I could see him sliding his game. To me, he's a most talented rusher in this draft. When it comes to using his hands, he's got moves on top of moves on top of moves, man. He might not be the most explosive, but when it comes to the whole package of pass rush, he's got the most moves and he's the most polished.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I'm not backing down on my island. If we're sitting there on draft day and we get the breaking news that the Detroit Lions have traded up in the draft, you'll hear me cheering. But I'll be cheering as well if we move back because I'm just thinking of scenario where we get pick 33 and we
Mm-hmm.
end up with Edger and Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's already like very high on my list. I'm not going to tip my hand too much. If somehow we get pick 39 as well and we get either Graham Barton possibly or a Zach Frazier, that's another home run. That's two home run picks right there. Then let's say down at 61 we take a Max Melton at corner. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
three phenomenal picks right there. I'm
Yeah.
happy right there with the draft being completely over. Like I'm
Yeah.
set.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would enjoy it, man. Um, I would really be disappointed though if we're not drafting at pick 29. I would,
Will's
man. I
heart gonna
think,
break.
yeah, I think, I think he's gonna draft at 29, man. I really do. I think he's gonna draft at 29. The more I look at this thing, I just can't see him trading all the way up because we still got things that we need to get. Like even though we can say, man, we're pretty sad, we don't have to rush, we don't have to reach, we don't have to. I can agree with that. I still think you're not trading up to get one of these quarterbacks. You're not trading up to get Alt. You're not trading up to get Bowers. I don't think that you have to press to get one of these edge rushers. Like I don't. I truly don't believe you got, to me, four talented rushers, three that play the game a certain way, and another one that's kind of more of a power guy. But there's four of them there. You can kind of watch this thing happen organically and see where it's going. I don't think that we really need to reach. And the more that I look at these guys, I was telling you earlier, I just don't think there's any reason to reach, man. I don't see the impact on our team being so big that we need to give up draft equity to go reach for somebody, at least in the first round, man. I don't see it, man. I don't see us trading up unless maybe it was a couple spots and we did like a fourth rounder next year or a third rounder next year or something like that. But I just don't see us trading up to 8, 10, something like that. It would just cost too much.
Well, what about moving back? Because you said you think Brad's picking at 29. I've seen Brad in every single draft except for when he drafted Penny Sewell. He's maneuvered the draft, especially the
Yeah,
first round. Moved
yeah.
back to get Jameer Gibbs.
Hmm.
Aiden Hutchinson, obviously, at number two, you didn't need to make a move there. You got your guy, got there, got to the podium
Yeah,
faster than Xavier Worthy ran the 40-yard dash. Like
yeah.
we got in trouble and yelled at by the commissioner for picking too fast.
Hmm.
But then in that same draft, he did in the first round maneuver up from 32 with the Rams pick, moved up to 12 to get Jamison Williams. Same thing last year. We had pick 6, moved back to 12 to take Jameer Gibbs. Jack
Hmm.
Campbell at 18, we stayed put there. So he's maneuvered the first round in some type of way the last 2 years. Um, I've seen him move up. I've seen him move back. What's he going to do this year? Is he going to play right in the middle and stay put? I don't know. I think if he were going to do anything, I think it's trading back, acquiring more picks. I don't think this team has any huge needs. I think if he can get his guy and he thinks he can get him at 33, 40, whatever it may be, okay, he's going to go move back and get him. If for some reason that guy's gone, he's got a backup plan. That guy's gone, another backup plan. I think there's about 3 or 4 guys that he's locked into somewhere in the top 40, and he's going to try to maneuver and get back as far as he can, making sure that when he's on deck, that at least 2 of those guys are available.
I'm gonna tell you something, and it's gonna sound crazy.
Oh boy,
So
buckle up.
let me clean it up after I say it. Are you ready?
I know.
Let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
I don't trust Brad Holmes. I don't. I don't trust Brad Holmes. I don't. I don't, man. Ed, are you ready? Can I
I'm
finish?
gonna lose my shit. You better square this up real fast.
I love it. I love it. So here's why I say that. I don't trust Brad Holmes for this reason. I don't trust him to tell us the truth in a press conference ever. He always lies or just dances around the truth. Do I trust him as my GM? You're damn
Okay.
right I do. You're damn right I do.
You
you're,
almost heard my truck start. I was on my way to your house.
you're damn right I do. I haven't lost my mind. I haven't lost my mind. But I listen to him at these press conferences, and I'm always like, I'm looking for the truth somewhere in that muddy water. So what has he said recently in overtime? He needs Detroit Lion guys. Something that he said. He's talked about clusters of guys that he likes in drafts. So you get a value on a guy or a group of guys, and whoever's there, you take them. Or if he's fixated on a guy, he figures out a way to go get him. You know, and he even left a few breadcrumbs last time saying that there was somebody that they wanted that they didn't get. Right. So we can see inside the den and them rah-rah and slapping five, like everything went exactly how they wanted. And we can believe that if we want to. But we know that's not true because
Trust me, Will. We know how to edit some videos.
exactly, exactly. So he's giving us what he wants us to see. He's telling us what he wants to tell us. And I gotta believe that there's some diversions out there. So I think he's got a guy, man, or a couple of guys that he's fixated on because in the last press conference he was telling us, "Hey, man, if I got a cluster of guys and uh, and I value those guys, I trade back knowing that I'm going to get one of them and blah 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 blah. Hey, you like these corners? Oh, they're regular corners. So hmm, I think
Poker
that
face. He's got his
yeah,
poker face on.
he's using his poker face, man. He's trying to not divulge as much as he can just minimally do, man. And I respect him for it. That's what he should do. That's what good GMs do. They don't want people saying, "Hey, okay, I see what the Lions are trying to do. We're gonna cut them off before they're allowed to do it, or we're going to make it hard on them." We don't want that, or we're not going to trade up because now we know what they're going to do, and we're not worried about that. So I can appreciate what he's doing, but I feel like it's our job to try to figure out what the real deal is. And I feel like I have a very strong idea, and I cannot wait for us to give our mock draft. I'm not gonna let it spill right now.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not backing down. If Brad wants to move up, I'm good with it because I see this team as really just needing one pass rusher away from having a complete starting roster. Now, our depth is another thing. I understand we need some O-line depth, but like I said, the smart move from a franchise standpoint, I feel like would be to move back, acquire more picks, get these guys on even cheaper deals, get 4 guys in the top 73. You can go get your edge rusher to back up Davenport if he gets hurt. You can go get a backup guard, center, tackle, whatever you need to shore up your offensive line. You can go get a corner who can rotate in and get some playing time. You can draft a wide receiver who you can rotate in and get some playing time. I think that's a smart move. It might not be sexy. It might suck on draft night being up there and saying, man, we've been up here since pretty much 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning now the next day, and no Detroit Lions player has been added to the roster. But
Yeah.
the next day, day 2, it's going to be exciting. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think that's what the smart move would be, and I think that's kind of where Brad's leaning. And we've given some scenarios. We've given some different teams who could be moving up and good reasons for why they would want to move up. So I really think we might be onto something here, Will.
Can I give the people the hints on what I'm thinking?
You can. I ain't spilling shit. I'm locked in, baby. I'm a stone wall until that mock draft comes out.
Guys, I'm thinking three things, three problems we have. Third quarter, can't score points in the third quarter. That's got to get solved throughout this draft process. Pass rush, that's got to get solved. We can't go into next season saying, "Hey, we can't rush the passer. We're not getting pressure. We're not." That's got to get solved. And lastly, stopping these mobile QBs. It's got to get solved. So, in running in line with what we did in free agency, we need to solve those three problems. So, uh, guys, when you're doing your mock drafts, when you're thinking about what our mock drafts might be, maybe we'll do something out there, or what a prediction of what our mock drafts will be, and maybe we'll do a contest for that or something like that. But when you're thinking about it, solve those three problems. That's all I got.
Here's my question before we wrap it up. Of those 3 problems, which one do you think is the most important to get addressed right away?
All three of them.
No, William. You will answer me. I will not end this show. I will not end that show with this
Man,
politician's answer. You will.
yeah, it's honestly it's the truth for me though, man. It's I can't sleep, I can't rest until problems are solved, man. It drives me
I will tell
absolutely
people where
crazy.
you live if you don't answer the question.
Man, well, I think that here's the thing. I'll say I'll answer all three with one. Can I say that and then answer with what it is?
I might allow it. No promises.
All right. So I would say pass rush. And I would say for this reason. If you solve your pass rush issue, you now solved your QB spy issue. If I'm pass rushing at a solid clip, now I'm changing the field position game. And if you change the field position game, it'll be easier to score. So I think that if you solve the pass rush issue, it'll take major steps towards solving all three problems.
I'll allow it.
I appreciate you.
I will allow it. The jury is out, and I'm with you. You could say whatever you want about me. I've read all the comments, but I will say this: I'm not backing down when I say that a pass rush. It doesn't matter if you have Charles Woodson, Deion Sanders, Ronnie Lott, Troy Polamalu in your secondary. It doesn't matter in the NFL. You can't touch receivers. You can't
Yep.
hardly tackle them. It
Yep.
does not matter. If these guys are running around for 8 seconds, getting open, impossible to cover. How do you
Yep.
stop that? An elite pass rush. I don't think this season we will have an elite pass rush, but we can have an improved pass rush.
Mm.
We can get some more speed on defense, whether it's the defensive line, linebacker, whatever it may be. You're right about that. You kind of fix one problem by fixing two. You fix your pass rush, you kind of stop that mobile quarterback. In the third quarter scoring, I'm with you 100%, but I think that's coaching and execution. We have the personnel. We had the personnel last year. We were still a top 5 offense and didn't score in the fourth quarter. We averaged 4 points in the third quarter for the whole season. I've done the math. If you guys want to check me, it was just over 4, like 4.3 or something like that. And I think we went 3 weeks in a row without scoring at all in the third quarter. So yeah, it's a problem, but I think at the totality of the offense, we were still top 5, but it does need to get fixed. So I put that as third. Yeah, I'm just thinking if we can get this defense on par with the offense, doesn't even have to be top 5, somewhere top 10 defense, maybe top 12. I think I'm willing to be a little reasonable. I think the Detroit Lions are immediate. Like we're talking real Super Bowl contenders. Like we're already in the conversation. I think we're more in the conversation.
I agree. I'm excited.
Guys, it's getting to be draft time. End of story. Will's leaked his hand a little bit. I'll pretty much tell you what he's going to draft. Like it's not even going to be a surprise to me. But we will have that out Wednesday morning before the draft. Give you guys plenty of time to look it over, listen to it, leave some comments. We'll have a little dialogue. We want to be your go-to source for Detroit Lions content, whether it's hypothetical situations, realistic situations, breaking news, game film, post-game film. We cover it all. Let us be your number one podcast for the Detroit Lions. Stick around, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.